But if you look into the free will debate and you become convinced that it doesn't exist, I do think there are real life applications for that belief when it comes to empathy. So before we get too deep into this, I just want to say I'm not a philosopher, I'm not a neuroscientist, I'm in no position to be telling you whether free will exists or not. All we're doing today is playing around with ideas and saying, if free will doesn't exist, how does that impact empathy? And the way I see it is, if we really don't have free will, meaning all our actions are determined by influencing factors that we have no control over, and if you turn the clock back, you could not have done anything differently. If that really is true, I think that should increase our empathy and understanding for others and ourselves massively. When people make bad decisions and do things we don't like, the core of our negative feelings towards that person seems to be our belief that they chose to do wrong, that they could have just not done what they did, but they chose to do it anyway. So that's on them, and all of our feelings towards them are justified because of that. But if that's not true, if they really could not have done differently and they didn't choose to do what they did, can we rationally blame them and hold those same negative feelings towards them still? I don't think so. When you're talking about people doing really horrific things, this kind of empathy is going to be next to impossible to practice in reality. But if you look into the free will debate and you become convinced that it doesn't exist, I do think there are real life applications for that belief when it comes to empathy. The next time someone cuts you up in traffic, says something offensive to you, all these things that happen to us all the time on the smaller to medium end of the wrongdoing scale, if you remind yourself that person didn't choose to do that to you, that their actions are determined by factors outside of their control and they could not have done differently, it becomes a lot harder to hold animosity towards that person. All those negative feelings that we normally hold towards a person become a lot harder to keep a hold of when you have this view on free will, and I think there's real power in that. When we live our lives regularly filled with rage, hatred, and dislike targeted at others, that really affects us. It brings us down, and it affects how we treat other people as well. So if we can reduce the amount of those kind of thoughts and emotions we carry around with us, that's going to have real positive effects on us and the people around us. And I think that holding this belief about free will makes doing that a lot easier. If you're interested in this issue of whether or not free will exists, check out videos by people like Alex O'Connor, Robert Sapolsky, Sam Harris, where they debate this issue with other people. They talk about things like how it would affect crime and punishment and prison systems and all kinds of stuff like that. Just listen to both sides and decide what you think is true. But if you become convinced that free will doesn't exist, I think that's a ticket to a lot more empathy in your life and a lot less negativity. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it, so comment down below. Do you believe in free will or don't you? And do you agree with my take on how it would affect empathy if it's true that we really don't have free will? And if you like videos like this where we discuss these kind of ideas and cover self-help and philosophy topics, that's what this channel is all about. So check out some of my other videos. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and I hope I see you in the next video.